Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of Java with Jesus. It's Friday, very exciting Friday for my working people. You made it to another weekend. Yay! Still very exciting. I hope you all are having a wonderful day so far. It's mid-morning right now. So for some of you, you're already in the afternoon, and for others, you're just waking up, depending on where you're at. And I'm so happy you've decided to join in with me during this time to spend some time with Jesus and with the Lord and in His Word. We're still in Genesis. I think we're going to be in Genesis for a while. Today, we are going to be reading Genesis 21:1 through 23:20. And the title of this study guide today is called Giving Until It Hurts. By the way, if anybody wants to buy any of the supplies that I'm using, I do have them linked down below. You can get a Bible and highlighters pretty much anywhere. This book, I'm sure, will be at a Christian store if you have one in your town as well. If you don't want to support Amazon, totally understand. But they are linked. Everything that I use is linked below. So, giving until it hurts. What comes to mind when you hear the word children? Small children can take everything out of us, yet they can also brighten our lives with a cute action, a smile, or a loving word. After years of waiting and several tests of faith, at last Sarah conceives and has a baby, Isaac, or laughter, the promised son. But Abraham's faith must undergo one more test. Oh no. Oh no. Tests of faith share the spotlight in this passage with other important lessons. As you read, note also what Abraham and others learn about the seriousness of sin, the importance of mourning, and the effect of a good reputation. Genesis 21:1 through 23:20. So 2 chapters today, again as well. We're going to be flying through these books if we keep doing 2 chapters a day. This is going to be great. Genesis 21, Isaac is born. Then the Lord took note of Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had promised. So Sarah conceived and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the appointed time of which God had spoken to him. Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Isaac. It's an interesting sentence. Then Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his Isaac was born to him. Wild. And people say that 40 is old now. Like, we used to be 100. Okay, calm down. Sarah said, God has made laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh with me. And she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. The child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. And she said, who would have said that to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. The child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. Sarah turns against Hagar. Now remember Hagar, for those of you who may not have seen all the episodes, Hagar is the handmaid that Sarah gave to Abraham back when they were Abram and Sarai. And because she couldn't have kids, so she offered up her handmaid, Hagar. Now Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking. Therefore she said to Abraham, drive out this maid and her son, for the son of this maid shall not be an heir with my son Isaac. The matter distressed Abraham greatly because of his son. But God said to Abraham, do not be distressed because of the lad and your maid. Whatever Sarah tells you, listen to her, for through Isaac your descendants shall be named. And of the son of the maid I will make a nation also, because he is your descendant. Well, that's nice. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar, putting them on her shoulder, and gave her the boy and sent her away. And she departed and wandered about in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was used up, she left the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went and sat down opposite him, about a bow shot away, for she said, do not let me see the boy die. And she sat opposite him and lifted up her voice and wept. God heard the lad crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what is the matter with you, Hagar? What's wrong with you, lady? Do not fear, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him by the hand, for I will make a great nation of him. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the skin with water and gave the lad a drink. God was with the lad, and he grew, and he lived in the wilderness and became an archer. He lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Now it came about that at that time that here we go. Abimelech, he's back. Abimelech is back. And Phicol, We're gonna go with Phicol. Phi sounds good. Phicol, the commander of his army, spoke to Abraham, saying, God is with you in all that you do. Now, therefore, swear to me here, by God, that you will not deal falsely with me, or with my offspring, or with my posterity. But according to the kindness that I have shown to you, you shall show to me and to the land in which you have sojourned. Abraham said, I swear it. But Abraham complained to Abimelech because of the well of water which the servants of Abimelech had seized. And Abimelech said, I do not know who has done this thing. You did not tell me, nor did I hear of it until today. Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. Then Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. Abimelech said to Abraham, What do these 7 ewe lambs mean, which you have set by themselves? He said, You shall take these 7 ewe lambs from my hand, so that it may be a witness to me that I dug this well. Therefore he called that place Beersheba, because there the two of them took an oath. So they made a covenant at Beersheba, and Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his army, arose and returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham placed a tamarisk tree at Beersheba, and there he called on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham sojourned in the land of the Philistines for many days. In Genesis 22, the offering of Isaac. Now it came about after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. Here. He said, Take now your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I will tell you. Oh. So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and he split wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. On the 3rd day, Abraham raised his eyes and saw the place from a distance. Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey, and I and the lad will go over there, and we will worship and return to you. Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took in his hand the fire and the knife. So the 2 of them walked on together. Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? You are the lamb, Isaac. I'm so sorry. Abraham said, God will provide for himself the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. So the 2 of them walked on together. Then they came to the place of which God had told them, and Abraham built the altar there, and arranged the wood, and bound his son Isaac, and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. Present. He said, Do not stretch out your hand against the lad, and do nothing to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Then Abraham raised his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in the thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the place of his son. Abraham called the name of that place, The Lord Will Provide. As it is said to this day, In the mount of the Lord it will be provided. Then an angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven, and it said, By myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this thing and have not withheld your son, your only son. Indeed, I will greatly bless you, and I will greatly multiply your seed as the stars of the heavens and as the sand which is on the seashore, and your seed shall possess the gate of their enemies. In your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they arose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham lived at Beersheba. Now it came about after these things that it was told Abraham, saying, Behold, Milcah has also borne children to your brother Nahor. Uz his firstborn, and Buzz, we're going to call him Buzz because that just sounds weird. Buzz, his brother, and Kemuel, the father of Aram, and Chesed, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Jidlaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel became the father of Rebekah. Oh, Rebekah. I think she has her own book, doesn't she? Not in this one. We'll get that later. Bethuel became the father of Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Reumah, also bore Tebah and Gaham and Tahash and Maacah. Are we taking notes? I hope we're taking notes. Here we go again. Before we get to Genesis 23, this last chapter, can you imagine that conversation though? Can you imagine? Abraham comes home with Isaac, and Sarah's like, how was your guys' day, dear? Like, did you have a good day? And Isaac's just like, Dad tried to sacrifice me. What the? I can't imagine that went well, that conversation. I can't imagine that went well at all. Like, as a woman who, I don't have children yet, hopefully, but as a woman, just putting myself in her place, like that's her only child. She's 100 years old, or almost 100 years old, and you want to do what? That man got stale bread that night for dinner, that's for sure. We don't blame her. Genesis 23. Now Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron. Oh, poor Sarah. In the land of Canaan, and Abraham went in to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Yeah, he better. Abraham, she's been with you through a lot. Then Abraham rose from before his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner among you. Give me a burial site among you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. The sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my lord, you are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our graves. None of us will refuse you his grave for burying your dead. So Abraham rose and bowed to the people of the land, the sons of Heth. And he spoke with them, saying, If it is your wish for me to bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and approach Ephron, the sons of Zohar, for me, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he owns, which is at the end of his field. For the full price, let him give it to me in your presence for a burial site. Now Ephron was sitting among the sons of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, even of all who went in at the gate of his city, saying, No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. In the presence of the sons of my people, I give it to you. Bury your dead. And Abraham bowed before the people of the land. He spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If you will only please listen to me, I will give the price of the field. Accept it from me, that I may bury my dead there. Then Ephron answered Abraham, saying, My lord, you listen to me. A piece of land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between me and you? So bury your dead. Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, commercial standard, specifically commercial standard. That is literally in here. So Ephron's field, which was in Machpelah, which faced Mamre, the field and cave which was in it, and all the trees which were in the field that were within all the confines of its border, were deeded over to Abraham for a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, for all who went in at the gate of his city. After this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field at Machpelah, facing Mamre, that is Hebron, also known as Hebron, in the land of Canaan. So the field and the cave that is in it were deeded over to Abraham for a burial site by the sons of Heth. Some of this stuff is very repetitive. I'm not sure why. If anybody knows why that is it just a language thing? It might be. I don't know. There we go. Chapters 21 through 23. Poor Sarah. R.I.P. Poor Isaac. He's fine. That's fine. You want to talk about trust in God, though. Oh, man. Abraham, for all of his doubting that he was doing not that long ago, he really was just like, let me just take this seriously. I'm going to take this thing seriously. Sir, in my head, that conversation when he got home was not good. Through the years, Abraham had learned many tough lessons about the importance of obeying God. When he was called out of Ur, when he went to Egypt, and when he had to wait for Isaac's birth. Initially, Abraham did not always show that he trusted or believed God, but through each test, he saw God's willingness and ability to keep his promises, even if it took a miracle. That is why God asked Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, to kill his beloved only son, his miracle child, on an altar. God did not want Isaac to die, but he wanted Abraham to sacrifice Isaac in his heart so that he could learn to trust God completely. Imagine what Abraham must have felt as he walked with Isaac up the mountain, each torturous step leading him painfully closer to unspeakable grief. Yet Abraham obeyed, and God honored his faith. Obeying God may often be quite a struggle because it may mean giving up something that we truly want. We should not expect our obedience to God to be easy or to come naturally. Just as fire refines ore to extract precious metals, God refines us through difficult circumstances. When tested, we can complain or we can obey, trusting God as we try to see how he is teaching us. In what ways might God be testing your faith? Write that down. I'll give you a minute. Second question. What steps of faith do you need to take today to obey him? Also write that one down. I'll give you a minute.
A few moments later.
Okay. I went back through and I did highlight 22:14, the Lord will provide as it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it will provide it. That's the name of the place where Abraham brought Isaac to be sacrificed. I think it's such a great reminder that in the mount of the Lord it will be provided, because, Abraham was so willing to sacrifice Isaac and to listen to God and be like, okay, I mean, this sounds like a terrible idea, but I'm going to do it. That he will provide for them, right? So he saw that, he gave them a ram, but to do a sacrifice instead. And so he will always provide is the lesson there. And I love that little reminder. And then I also highlighted 22:16 and 22:17, where it talks about, because you have done this thing and have not withheld your son from me, even though I asked you to literally take his life, I'm going to greatly bless you because you have proven your faith. And yeah, those are my highlights for today. We don't always highlight, but sometimes we highlight. And that just stuck out to me because you have to do what God tells you, even if we don't want to. And even if it's horrible, we have to trust that he knows and he will provide for us anyway. Abraham is on another level. Abraham is on another level. That's episode 8. That's Genesis 21 through 23. Genesis is, I keep saying this, but Genesis is insane. There's a lot that goes on in Genesis. We always end with a prayer. God, I ask that you stay with us as you always have, that you continue to test us even when we get frustrated, when we think that we can't take anymore. What's the saying? God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. It's a cliche. It's a cliche, Jesus, and we know. But it's very true. Abraham was literally asked to sacrifice and take the life of his only son, his only miracle son, at 100 years old. And he did it without hesitation, even though it hurt him, I'm sure, so terribly to even think about doing something like that to him, God. But he trusted you, and he trusted that you had a good reason behind it. And he begrudgingly but willingly followed your orders. And I ask that you hopefully don't do that dramatic of a test for us, Jesus. But I ask that you take everybody that's listening and watching here today, and really anywhere in the world, and give them these tests to help them realize their faith in you and realize that you got this, God. You got this. And you will provide everything that is needed through these tests, through these trials, through these tribulations of life, if only we just let go and follow your orders. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you all for joining me today on episode 8. Tomorrow, episode 9. Can't wait to see where Genesis takes us tomorrow. It's been a roller coaster. My gosh. Anyway, thank you all for watching and for hanging out with me this morning. God bless you all. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow.